Moving on now, it's a heartwarming story of redemption. After years of struggling with addiction, who would have thought a pair of old farm boots and a chance meeting with pecan farmer Kason Anderson would bring a new beginning for Trip Stillwell?
I do a little bit of everything from irrigation during the winter time, running the chainsaw when weather's come and we got limbs down, to sweeping if we need sweeping, or right now I particularly run the harvester throughout the harvest season.
Trip Stillwell spends his days working in this pecan orchard.
I grew up in Cordell, Georgia. My grandpa, he was a pecan farmer.
But 2 years ago, he lived a very different life.
After high school, I chose the path of I never let the party end. I chose the path of hard drugs and alcohol.
He says he struggled finding happiness and spiraled out of control, leaning on controlled substances to get him through the day.
The first time I used, it was marijuana when I was about 11 years old. I had already been drinking, sneaking alcohol when I could. And as high school progressed and, that continued seeking validation progressed, the drugs got harder and harder. I was a young punk kid who had a chip on his shoulder and wanted to prove something that he didn't need to prove.
The darkness would get even darker as Tripp recalls wanting to end his life.
I would stay up for extremely long periods of time. I would allow myself to get very dehydrated and malnourished, and I'd hope to pass out while I was on the road. And there were many times I woke up with my truck in the ditch next to a tree, just waking up several hours after I'd wrecked, not knowing how I'd gotten there.
And with addiction came other consequences too.
When I was 16, I got arrested my first time. Then the next time when I was 19, it was a serious charge. It was a felony.
After 15 years down a dead-end road, Tripp finally received a wake-up call.
I was looking at being incarcerated for many years, and I needed something different because every time I had went to one of those places, I came back out wanting to do the same thing. And I asked my officer, could I do something different? And he allowed me to go to the rescue mission.
His time at the rescue mission connected him to others with similar struggles and a higher power known for grace.
It was there that I surrendered my life and found the Lord.
I met Tripp late 2022. We were in like a men's group at church, and a lot of people in that room had different stories, but at the end of the day, we were all more similar than we thought. He had some boots on, and I heard him say the word Crifts County, and I was like, who do you know down there? What do you do? He said, oh, I know this farmer and this person. And I said, well, I know them too.
And I wholeheartedly believe that he made me wear these boots to that church service on the particular night that my boss would be there. And he opened the door for me back to farming. Most people wouldn't have gave me a chance in the world. The Lord he works in perfect timing. He knew where I needed to be, when I needed to be there, with the person who was going to be there at the same time.
He says his time on the tractor helps him connect to the one that paved his path to recovery and ultimately back to agriculture.
I'm never isolated. I'm always with the one who brought me through all that stuff. That really gives me my time to work on the stuff that he wants me to work on. He reveals things to me in that tractor that I can't get revealed to anywhere else because the world's going on around it. It's just me and him in there and the orchard. I look at it like, man, he created all this around me and I get to tend it.
And he has some advice for others who may be struggling too.
Shame and guilt, they drove me to do it for as many years as I did it because I didn't want to feel like I needed help from anybody. I'm a man, I'm supposed to do those things on my own. My advice to anybody going through that is tell on it. Bring it to the light and share what you're going through with someone like me who's been through the same thing. I promise there's many people out there, whether they're in a church, whether they're on a 988 hotline, that have been through something similar and that want to help you.
Like Tripp said, don't let shame or guilt prevent you from seeking help. Chances are someone else close to you is going through something similar. You can find resources at 988lifeline.org or can call or text 988 on your phone.